Welcome to Hispanic Migrants in the United States with Charity. Global conflicts and politics. Ukraine. Russia announced the capture of 3 towns in Zaporizhzhia and Donetsk. The G7 demands an immediate ceasefire and condemns the escalation. Ukrainian Justice Minister was dismissed for corruption. Gaza. Israel responded seeking crossing and returns the bodies of 15 Palestinians held since the October 7 attacks. Netanyahu thanks Trump for requesting his pardon. Pakistan. Suicide bombing outside a courthouse in Islam kills less 12. The Taliban claim responsibility. India. Explosion near the Red Fort in New Delhi investigated as a terrorist incident. Disaster and climate. Jamaica. Hurricane Melissa left 45 dead and 15 missing, 1,000 displaced. Dominican Republic. Power restored after a massive blackout caused by a storm. Economy. G7 in Canada. Ministers discuss support for Ukraine and Sudan and trade tension with the United States. Venezuela. Government orders massive military deployment as USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier arrives in the Caribbean. Other headlines. French. Parliament approves suspension of pension reform after massive protest. Turkey. Georgia. Military plane crashes with 20 Turkish soldiers, all killed. Work permits and legal status. End of automatic extension as October 30. Work permits EAD are no longer automatically renewed. Missing the deadline means losing work authorization, affecting asylum seekers and DACA recipients. ICE raids. Oh wow. Even migrants with valid permits have been arrested in recent operations in Florida and Utah, creating fear and uncertainty in the community. Employers and labor shortage. Business leaders and lawmakers are strong for work permits for migrants without criminal records, citing a deficit of 1.7 million workers, impacting agriculture, construction, and healthcare. Imagine 1.7 million workers impacting agriculture, construction, and healthcare. Business campaigns. Hispanic leaders launched initiatives to grant permits to undocumented workers in essential sectors: agriculture, hospitality, healthcare. Impact of cold and snow. Cities increases. Chicago, New York, and Denver struggle the shelter migrants during winter. Over 20,000 migrants live in makeshift shelters, airports, and police stations. Extreme risk. In El Pac, Texas, Texas migrants had suffered hypothermia, an inhumane condition due to freezing temperatures. CBP warns crossing in this condition is risking your life. Economy and jobs for migrants. Migrants sustain the economy of the United States. They represent 19.2% of the United States workforce and are key in agriculture, construction, healthcare, and service. Without them, there will be a critical shortage. High demand sectors: healthcare, nursing, caregivers, construction, hospitality, and technology continue to need migrants. Even though admitted farmers are being severely harmed by mass deportations. Mexico position on Trump. Dialogue and tension. Mexico says it is open to dialogue to avoid extreme actions, but is also preparing plans to receive deportees and protect nationals. Mass deportations. Mexico considers accepting not Mexican migrants deported in the United States, which will overwhelm shelters and increase risks in border cities. Trump Towns policies: visa cancellation, strict citizenship requirements, and tariff threats if Mexico does not curb migration. How all this affects migrants and you? First, in legal uncertainty, change in permits and raise grave fare and job loss. 2. Extreme condition, cold, and lack of shelters put lives at risk. 3. Global economy, falling oil prices and trade tension affect remittances and job opportunities. Finally, political pressure. Migrants are used as bargaining chips in United States-Mexico negotiation. Imagine. And of TPS and deportation risks. On November 7, temporary protected status (TPS) expired for more than 600,000 Venezuelans in the United States by decision Donald Trump's administration, backed by Supreme Court. This means they lost work permits, license, and protection from deportation. They are now exposed to race and migration proceedings. Are migrants being sent to Venezuela? Are migrants being sent to Venezuela? Yes. The United States resumed deportation flights to Venezuela in February and March 2025 after a bilateral agreement. Recent example, November 13, a flight from Texas carried 279 deported Venezuelans to Maiqueta International Airport, Caracas. This was flight number 85 of Venezuelans' Great Mission Return to the Homeland program. Today in the bus, I remember I listened one lady called the people family Venezuela and say, what do you need? Tomorrow I take the very free Venezuelan flight for return to Venezuela. If you need a perfume, tell me because it's free for return to Venezuela. Imagine now the Venezuelan people is tourist return to his country. Since the agreement was reacted, almost 15 Venezuelans had been repatriated on official flights this year. It's funny because Venezuela now say, okay, I return my country, but I buy my perfume, my shoes very nice, etc. Now these tourists, wow, are they living on their own? Yes, but with difficulties. Many want to live voluntary to avoid race, but lack passport because Venezuela consulates in the United States have been closed since 2029. This leaves them trapped, unable to fly even with the country. Some migrants have opted for self-deportation via land to Mexico or seek third countries like Spain or Colombia. Others abandoned homes and cars and airports to leave quickly. But really, the history is tourists. Now, tourists, a lot of tourist Venezuelans. What happening at the border and with ICE? ICE has intensified operation in states like Florida and Texas. Migrants without TPS or with prior deportation orders are a priority for detention. Cold and snow worsen the crisis. Cities like Chicago and New York have thousands of migrants in makeshift shelters, while others live in airports or police stations. What does Venezuela say? Maduro government promised the return to the homeland plan, offering flights and assistance for those who want to return. Opposition leaders like Maria Corina Machado say they are working to make Venezuela a safe place and ensure returns are voluntary, not forced. I listen some Venezuela's people say change Venezuela politics. Hopefully for the peace and for nice Venezuelans people, because the people of Venezuela is nice, it works hard, and hopefully it return his country and the politics return for peace and for better jobs for them. Conclusions. Yes, there are official deportation, direct United States Venezuela flights. Yes, there are voluntary returns, but many migrants are trapped due to lack of documents. The end of TPS leaves hundreds of thousands at risk of rise, job loss, and extreme conditions. Venezuela and United States maintain repatriation agreements while the humanitarian crisis continues. For the people of Venezuela, positive mind, good for them. Now, I share a real migrant story. I always respect the gender people choose to identify with and avoid discussing it at work or anywhere, also because it's personal decision. However, in some jobs, people ask me what I thought about women with husbands and children who like women, or vice versa, men with wives and children who like men. I don't know why others care so much about what a third person thinks. Despite my respect for these choices, I experienced harassment from lesbians and seen men harassed by men. In my case, I had to leave a job because as migrants, we have no rights to defend ourselves against such harassment. And companies don't take it seriously, even if they claim they do. Many colleges say they had to prostitute themselves to get a good position or be flexible to inherit a similar role. Still, there are families that preserve values and teach their children to love their gender. If you are a man, marry a woman. If you are a woman, marry a man. Family exists for procreation and to raise better human beings. However, it's good to respect others and set boundaries with those who try to change our ideas. Companies not about harassment but ignore it. To avoid problems, they fire the harassed person. Migrants often have to leave the company or move to another place and even change their phone number because some people don't understand. No! Mexican families strongly protect their children and family security. Other Hispanic families also defend their loved ones even if they live here and still have family elsewhere. Sadly, many Hispanic migrants forget what they left behind once they settle here, often because money barely covers one person's expenses here, but husband and wife must work because money only covers rent, phone, transportation, and food. Migrants don't celebrate Thanksgiving much, but do attend these events, and it's nice that many United States-born people share their Thanksgiving dinner with migrants. I've been invited to elegant dinners like Christmas, where family gather joyfully, say a prayer of thanks, and love each other more. It's wonderful that this exists here, and it's something migrants learn to give thanks always, not just on Thanksgiving. Okay, reflection about this. This story reminds us that respecting individual decisions is essential, but setting clear boundaries is necessary to protect our integrity. Harassment in any form should never be normalized, especially in workplaces where everyone deserves safety and dignity. Migrants face double vulnerability, lack of rights, and economic pressure, forcing them to remain silent or abandon opportunities. Amid these harsh realities, family remains a pillar of meaning and strength. Cultures may change and customs mix, but the value of unity, education, and love endures. Learning to give thanks as in Thanksgiving teaches that even in adversity, there is room to gratitude and hope. Respecting, giving thanks, and defending dignity are principles that transcend borders and help build a more human society. Okay, I finally for you with some phrases a lot of positive, especially for you. To end on positive note, here are some quotes for migrants like you. 1. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. Is the Warsaw Shire. 2. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Albert Einstein. Adversity has the gift of awakening talents that in prosperity will have remained dormant. Horace. Saint Augustine, pray as if everything depends on God. Work as if everything depends on you. Biblion, let your faith be bigger than your fears. God is with you every step of the way. Prayer is the refuge of the afflicted soul, the source of peace, joy, and hope. John Binney. George Ramos say great nations are defined by how they treat their weakest inhabitants. Nelson Mandela. To many people, their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. Martin Luther King. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Okay, thank you for listening and see you in the next episode. Bye.